So let's get into Ministry Funnels Day 1. Are you ready? Here we go. So this is going to be an introduction. It's going to share the purpose, the vision that I have for Ministry Funnels, and kind of give you just an overview of what these 5 days are going to be about. Now keep in mind, this is not going to be a comprehensive course that will allow you to have a thriving ministry at the end of day 5, but it will get you to the right place, I'm praying. So this has been a labor of love of mine for a while now. I've wanted to create something like this. I get a lot of questions online about small things like, hey, how did you do this? How do you blog? How do you grow on social media? That kind of stuff. And so I really wanted to kind of give back a little bit. And so that's kind of the purpose and vision for this, is to help you start your ministry. So this might be something that you've wanted to do for a while and you don't know where to start. Now believe me, I'm going to go through my story, and it was the same kind of thing. It's very overwhelming when you kind of have this vision and you kind of have this heart for doing something, but you're not sure where to start because there's so many avenues where you could go. And so the goal of this is honestly to give you a purpose and a vision for your ministry. And it's to help you grow your ministry too. So you might already have a ministry. Okay, you might already be a pastor. You might already post on social media. You might already have a podcast. You might already blog, but it's to help you grow your ministry. So Ministry Funnels is designed to help you grow your ministry or start your ministry. And also to expand your reach. You might be doing some of these things very well. You might be a successful blogger or podcaster, but there's avenues out there that you may not have thought of. You don't know how to get connected to, and that's what I want to do with this program. So I want to connect you with these resources. That's exactly what the name means. Ministry Funnels means that I'm going to funnel you to the right places for you to decide what is right for you. Right? This is not a one-stop shop where everyone's going to go through this program and apply everything equally. No, you're going to pray about this. You're going to seek God's wisdom in your life about where He wants you to go and what He wants you to do. But we're going to also talk about how we have to be good stewards of the vision He gives us and make sure we take the right avenues to grow. Okay, so the whole purpose of this is to connect you with resources. I'm going to have a lot of links for you to look at, and I just hope that you will pray about this and see, at least look into some of these things as you go through this program, because it can be very helpful to you as you go through this, as you see some of these things that have been clear to me over the years. And I'm trying to put it in a cohesive program for you to adapt and adopt into your ministry. And this program is also designed to help connect you with other people in ministry. You know, there is something to be said about connections, about, meeting other people, because we have a shared goal. If we're all in ministry, we're all trying to spread the gospel. We're all trying to, do what we're being faithful to what God's given us, the skills and abilities that God has given us, and to help others get closer to God. No matter what your specific goal is of your ministry, that is kind of the overarching Great Commission vision and goal that we should all have in ministry, is to reach the lost and to get them closer to Jesus and disciple them. So this can help you grow and get connected with other ministry partners. Now this has been a huge networking has been a huge win for me, because I have to have a guest on my podcast. I had guest bloggers on, and so I'm out there making connections and growing over time, but that didn't start overnight. I was a nobody in ministry, just kind of growing from nothing, and I'm still learning and growing every day. But I hope this program will help connect you to other people that are in ministry, and a lot of that is going to be through the Facebook group. So I hope that you're active in that. I hope that you make connections, through the comments and things like that in the Facebook group, which you'll find in the links at the end of the day. And another purpose and vision for this program is to save you the time from learning and doing all this yourself. Okay, I literally started my ministry with a notebook, right? I just started writing stuff down, not knowing how to start a website, how to blog, how to do any of this, but I just started small and I learned over time. And the goal of this is to help save you the time in learning all that yourself. And so I hope I can do that. I hope that this is helpful to you, and I want to provide this to you free, because I really want to connect you with a way or multiple ways that can help you grow your ministry. So who am I? So you should probably know who's talking to you and kind of my history a little bit to help give you connections on, where I'm coming from, and if I have any knowledge on the stuff I'm speaking about. So my name is Tim Ferrara. I am a executive pastor. I grew up in the church. My dad was a pastor. My wife's dad was a pastor. So I grew up in church environments, serving in multiple ways. I have a background in retail. So I was a retail manager for many, many years. In 2018, I started a ministry called Discerning Dad. And it really started from a place of hearing God and having all these ideas for writing, right? And so keep in mind that I never wanted to write. Since I graduated with my master's, I wanted to be done writing. I wrote very little throughout the years. And so the idea of blogging and writing was very foreign to me and uncomfortable, but I started getting all these ideas for what would make a good blog. And so the idea of discernment came when I realized it was one of my spiritual gifts is discernment, and I really had the name almost like just a data download from heaven in a Sunday morning one Sunday, where I should start the ministry called Discerning Dad. And so to help not just dads, but all Christians grow in discernment and make better decisions that honor God. And so literally right after that Sunday, I went home, I journaled, I wrote all this stuff down, short-term goals, long-term goals, stretch goals, and a lot of those have been, with God's help, succeeded on things that I wrote down. One of those things was a book, which, was something I also did not want to write. So there's my logo for Discerning Dad. And the website is discerning-dad.com. So now I'm an author. I wrote a book called Everyday Discernment, which came out at the beginning of 2019. And so that's been an awesome journey to have a book, honestly. Actually, end of 2019, beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic. So just to have a book has been amazing, right? I never thought I'd be an author. I never wanted to write another book, and so as God inspires me to write things, I write them, but it's not like a passion. I'm not just writing in my spare time for fun. That's not me, right? And that's okay. But I was able to write a book, Everyday Discernment, and the book really focuses on helping Christians grow in discernment, making better decisions, understanding what discernment is, and then applying that to all areas of our lives. So there's chapters in the book on having discernment with our finances, discerning counterfeits, having godly relationships, discernment in parenting, in our careers, in social media, in what we watch in the entertainment world, all that kind of stuff, and how we grow in discernment. So, and then I became a podcaster. So in July of 2020, I started a podcast by the same name called Everyday Discernment. And that has been something too, which is just another step in this process of running a ministry that, I did not know how to podcast. I did not know what in the world to do, how to set things up. I like technology, but I'm not a, technology nerd by any means. So I had to learn these things over time. And so I really wanted to start a podcast to help people grow in discernment. And I'm going to go through in day 3, when we talk about audio implementation, a little bit more about podcasting. But so far, it's been an awesome journey. I've been part of the Charisma Podcast Network, the Edify Podcast Network. I've had amazing guests on so far, like John Eldridge, Jonathan Rumi and The Chosen, Rashawn Copeland, Matt Brown, and just a crazy amount of people that have given me the time of day because I have a podcast, and I am truly blessed to be able to talk to some of these great men and women of God. So what else have I done? I've grown a social media following. At the time of this recording, have over 50,000 followers across social media platforms, which is not, which may sound like a lot to some. It's also very little compared to others. I've talked to people on my podcast that have 2 million followers on TikTok. So, it's just a matter of perspective. But I'm blessed to have the following I do have online. And I've also just personally grown up, like I said, through business, have 24 plus years in the business world, have a degree, a master's degree, and then a marketing degree. And then currently I'm an executive pastor at a church, and God rescued me from the business world. I like to say delivered me from retail specifically, and I have the honor of applying a lot of that business knowledge I have in the executive pastor role over operations and finances and discipleship. And so that's about me. That's a little bit about me. I'm a family man as well. I have 2 kids, a wife of over 15 years at the time of this recording. And so, God has blessed me. And, I've been along a crazy journey, especially over the last few years, starting a ministry. And that's kind of where I'm coming to you from, is a place where, I'm not the best, I don't have the best ministry. I don't have the most knowledge of anybody, but I do come from a place of, humility to where, hey, I've been where you are. If you don't know what you're doing, I was there, and I still don't know what I'm doing many days, but I'm also further along than when I started, and I want to be able to share that knowledge with you so that you can grow your ministry. It's very important. I've met a lot of people in ministry, and even if we have similar platforms, I have not found one person that is selfish, that wants to increase at the place of tearing other people down. I'm sure there's people out there like that, but for the most part, people in ministry are very welcoming, very kind, very helpful. I've had people that have been helpful to me just with the fact that they don't know who I am, but they're going to give me a leg up. They're going to, the people that reviewed my book, big names that had no idea who I was, but I sent them my book, and they were like, hey, I'll review your book for you. Just things like that have been really helpful. And so I don't find this competitive thing in ministry. Sometimes you see that at the church level with a neighboring church, you don't want to work together, but online ministry is very, very welcoming. And so that's where I'm coming from too, is a place where I want to help you, because like I said at the beginning, if we are in this together, spreading the Great Commission, then it's a win-win for everybody, especially for the lost, right? We should have a passion for those that don't know Jesus, because as Jude says, snatching them out of the fire. And so that's what we can do in an age where we have social media, where we have the ability to have an online ministry. Keep in mind, this is very new, right? I remember growing up without a computer, without a smartphone. Many of you as well, if you've been around for a while, you understand that the advances in technology allow us to do things we could not do before. And so we have to remember that in the past, the only way you could reach a few thousand people was at like an auditorium or a stadium or a giant speaking event, but literally you can jump online and reach thousands of people today, right? If you take the right steps. And so this is a way to reach the world, right? This is a way to reach the lost. This is an avenue that we never had before. And so we are in an awesome time where you can start something as an online ministry and reach people for Jesus. So this is the exciting part, right? A lot of the grind of starting a ministry can seem tiresome, cumbersome, just like I don't want to be bothered with that. But when you keep your eyes on the prize of why you're doing this, and that's what I want you to consider in day one, is why are you even starting a ministry? Don't do it for the wrong reasons. Don't do it for clout, for prestige, for, advancement and all these things. Do it because God told you to do it. Do it because you have a burden for why you're starting it, for how you want to help people, right? And there's a lot of different ministries that you could start. It's not just blogging, it's not just podcasting. And so there's a lot of different avenues out there to help others, but at the same time, we should do it with that burden and that passion for people. So who is Ministry Funnels for? So this is for pastors, large and small. This is not just for churches per se. I especially want this to be for pastors. This is going to be for more people than just that, but I really have a heart for pastors that do a great job in a church, and it might be a small church. It might be 50 to 100 people. It might be 500 people. But I really want to help pastors because I've seen pastors growing up. I've seen the challenges with pastors that have told me, like, hey, I don't have a 401k. I don't have a retirement option. I need to make money. I need a second job. And it breaks my heart when pastors, especially in smaller churches, have to work throughout the week and can't fully devote themselves to ministry. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I also want to help pastors grow what they're currently doing and reach more people, which we can do now in the age of technology. And so that's exciting to me, is to help pastors find a new audience above and beyond through their church. And this should not just be for a church to grow. This is not designed specifically for churches. A lot of these things can be applied to churches, but this is specifically for pastors to grow their ministry within their church to reach more people. So keep in mind that if I have, my church is called LifePoint, for example. If I just start things under the LifePoint name, people are going to think that you have to be going to LifePoint to understand this stuff. And so that's one of the things we'll talk about, is how to start a ministry that can be open to a lot of people. Now, granted, the bigger churches, people tune in and view stuff for just because of the speaker themselves. But as you're starting, people want to be tied to you as a person, or to your ministry and what you're trying to do, and not just your church name. And you can do that within, a church. You might have a podcast that's called something different than your church name, and that podcast can reach many, many more people than you can do by just on a Sunday morning. Okay, so this is also for new ministries, people that are brand new, like I was in the business world, not in ministry per se. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to say ministry a lot, but I do understand that all Christians are in ministry, right? That is kind of all of our calling in as Christians, is to serve others, to love others, and that can be a ministry in and of itself. What I'm talking about in the term ministry is a very specific structured organization, platform that is trying to achieve a certain purpose. So that's what I talk about in ministry. Granted, I understand we're all in ministry. So this is for new ministries saying, hey, I've wanted to start something, and this is something that I would have loved to go through back when I started Discerning Dad in 2018. I would have loved to have just all this laid out before me, but this is stuff that I had to learn over time. And so I'm hopeful that this is helpful to you. This is also for current ministries looking to grow. Maybe you have a ministry, maybe you've plateaued, or maybe you've kind of just dabbled in it without taking it too seriously. Maybe you're doing great. Maybe you have a huge following and you want to be able to still go through this and see what areas you might be missing so that you can help solidify the structure and maybe get more out of it. This is also for people who are curious and want to learn more. Maybe you don't have a specific calling to a ministry, but you want to see what this is about. It might be something that you keep in your back pocket and do at a later time. However, I would caution you to take this seriously. If you are going through this and you have at all a vision, a passion for starting something like this, take action now while you're going through this. Don't waste this time. And this is also for people who have a skill or a calling for the kingdom of God. This is not just for pastors. This is not just for people that are employed full-time ministry. This is for people who know how to teach, who know how to speak, who know how to write, who know how to give, who know how to organize, who know how to manage, right? These are for people who know how to do these things, because we can use all of our skills and abilities for the kingdom of God. This is what Paul talks about when we are all parts of the body of Christ. You know, we can't look at and say, well, I'm a pastor, I'm a better part of the body than the foot, that compared to the head. This is the whole part of the Corinthians when he talks about this. We have to look at our skills and abilities that God has given us and use them for the kingdom. And so you have skills and abilities, you have spiritual gifts that God has given you, and so it's important that we apply them to our daily life. And if it's in a structure like this, then awesome. So who is this for? Anyone who is looking to serve God. Okay, this is open to anyone. Ministry funnels can be for you, and I hope that it is something that you can use for God's glory. All right, who ministry funnels is not for. Okay. Got a little delay here. Hold on. Okay, if you are content where you're at, this is not for you. If you will not take any action in this course, this is not for you. This is for people who want to take action. Journal. Check out the links I'm going to provide you. Stay attentive to this program. Be active in the Facebook group, right? I'm going to give you lots of options. I'm going to funnel you to the right places, at least what I feel is right. And so it's important for you to look at these and apply them to your life. Okay, participate, connect with other people, and take risks. Okay, the biggest part of some of this stuff is to take risks. Take prayerful risks, take godly risks, but risks at the same time means that we don't know what the future will hold, even though God does. And so if God is pointing you in a direction, take those risks for him, because he is the one who will see you through. All right, so the question comes up with something like this. So why grow? Why have a structure like this? Why not just let God do the work? Why grow, and why go through all this trouble to start a ministry? Well, this is the same problem that churches faced in 2020. The question of whether to live stream or not. We were faced with a pandemic, and many churches had to scramble to figure out how to live stream, to how to get the equipment, what to do, and a lot of this came with trial and error. And churches could have just said, well, we don't want to live stream. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. If we close the doors, then no one's going to get church. If we open back up, we're going to be at 25% capacity, but that's, just the way it is. No, most churches I know live streamed. They figured it out in order to keep the vision and the mission going. And many churches kept live stream even as the pandemic is dying down. So this is one of the things where, the same question as we ask, why grow my ministry? Why not just be a pastor to 50 people and keep doing this? You absolutely can. There's nothing wrong in that. There's no shame in that. But why not? Why not grow? Why not use the gifts and the talents God has given you to grow and reach more people, right? There's really no reason not to. So we can say that, I'm just going to rely on God, and God will bring the increase. And here's the thing with that, is that God will point you in the right direction, but at the same time, he relies on us to be good stewards, right? Think of the example that Jesus taught of the steward that buried the talent in the ground, as opposed to investing it, as opposed to growing it. We cannot bury the talents God has given us. We have to use them for him in whatever way possible. I'm not telling you that you have to use your talent in a specific way. I'm giving you options to use your talent for his glory. And so that's when God gave me the vision of Discerning Dad, I had to literally go before him and say, where should I start? And I humbly just started blogging, right? No one read the blogs but me and my parents, I think, at first, and my wife. But over time, God brought the increase. And so I am still relying on God, but I'm also doing the work, right? I'm also putting myself out there. I'm also, sharing on social media. I'm also, growing myself personally, which has helped me speak and grow as well. If you look at the very first YouTube videos I did, they were embarrassing because I had to grow my skill in speaking, which is still not part of my comfort zone, but I had to grow in my skill of writing too. So we should rely on God, but we also cannot sit back with our arms crossed and say, okay, God, if you want this, then you do it, right? God uses us to spread the gospel, to be in ministry, right? It's no different than if a pastor just said, God, if you want the message spoken, then you're going to have to do it yourself on Sunday morning. And so I hope you see that, this is not just to gain notoriety. This is not just about growing for growth's sake. I've told God from the very beginning that if one or two people read something I've written and get closer to you, then it's worth it, right? That's how we measure success. Success in God's eyes is different than success in our eyes. So I hope we see that as well as we go through this, that it's okay to want to shoot for long-term things and to want to grow, but at the end of the day, we have to say, God, are you happy with where I'm at? Am I being faithful to you and obedient to you throughout this process? And a lot of times there's God will take you through periods where it's just about being faithful to your calling, and then God will bring an increase through that faithfulness and obedience. So we talked about stewardship. God honors hard work. You see that through the Bible. This is about growing and taking your message to reach the lost and also to disciple Christians. There's a huge need for discipleship in the church. Christians who just go on Sunday morning, it's really hard to get discipled that way when you're just hearing a Sunday message that might be 30 minutes long. So there's a huge need throughout the week to disciple, to be in community with other Christians, to use technology that we have today to have small groups, to have Zoom calls, to have that kind of stuff. And we'll talk about that as well as we go through this program. And also to grow is to be a light on social media. You know, one of the parts of my story I didn't tell you is that right before I started Discerning Dad, I wanted to quit social media completely. No joke. I wanted to delete Facebook. I wanted to delete Instagram. And God was really calling me back to social media to be a light on social media. And now keep in mind, I have no problem with people that want to delete social media or to limit it. I think that is actually wisdom in a lot of cases. But for me specifically, the calling that I had was to go back to social media and be a light. And so I'll post things almost daily where it might be just a Bible verse, it might be an inspirational Christian quote, you know, things like that where people can scroll through social media and stop and hopefully get closer to God because of it. Now, I've said before, too, that me posting a Bible verse does not replace the Bible. But if you're already going to be on social media, why not go where people are and be a light where they are at? So benefits of ministry funnels. Okay, there's a lot of things that we're going to go through, and this course will improve the more that you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. So this will save yourself time from having to learn all this yourself. I think I talked about that before. A lot of this is what I learned over time. There's expanded opportunities and connection. The more that you are connecting with other people, the more you have a chance to get your name out there and to be maybe a guest on a podcast, you know, write for somebody else, be connected with someone else's ministry. Maybe there's two ministries that haven't even started yet that can collaborate and grow together through ministry funnels. I hope so. That would be amazing, an amazing testimony. Another benefit could be secondary income. Okay. Quit the second job. I talked about pastors that have to work through the week instead of focusing primarily on the mission of being a pastor and a shepherd. So this is something we'll talk about too in the profit strategy on day 5. This is not a requirement to be in ministry, is to make money, right? That's not why I started. But there's also a lot of cool things online that I've found over time that, hey, you can make a secondary income. Maybe even a full-time income from online, right? I think that's pretty rare across ministries, but it's also an option, which we'll talk about. And so I would ask you to prayerfully consider that, right? Don't do this for the money, but at the same time, if you can be in ministry, just like, you know, people that tithe to a church and the pastor makes money off of that, then people give to your ministry or give to some of the options that I can show you and make money off of that. You might be a pastor that wants to replace your income completely and be less of a burden on the church, right? That would be a huge benefit to your church, is that you can not stress over finances, not stress over putting food on the table. You can actually take the tithe money and give more to missions, give more to upgrading the church. I mean, how many churches need something done, need a project, they just don't have the money for it. So if you can do something like this and start a ministry, grow a ministry, and replace your income for the church, then go for it. I know pastors that have done this. They've invested in other opportunities through business, and they've been able to replace their income for the church. Another benefit of ministry funnels is to repackage and repurpose content. So if you're a pastor, just think about the past year. Think about all the content you technically have from the past year through sermons. Most senior pastors, I think, would preach about 40 sermons a year out of the 52 weeks. And so you have 40 sermons that people have heard. And now what happens to those sermons? They just kind of fall away, don't they? I mean, very few people that I know re-listen to sermons after the week that they came out. And so that is technically gone, right? People can still find it if you have a podcast or online on your website. People can still find your sermons, but there's not a good chance that they're going to be seeking that stuff out. So we're going to talk about repackaging and repurposing content. So if you had a great series on whatever, so let's look at Michael Todd, for example. he had an awesome series called Relationship Goals. And he blew up literally overnight on YouTube because of this series. People shared it, people shared it across, and he tells this story better than I can, of course, because I didn't live it, but he tells this awesome story, and look at his growth and what they've been able to do since then. And he's been able to write a book called Relationship Goals. So he has a really cool story, a very rare story, compared to some pastors as far as the explosive growth. But that's an example of how you might have an awesome series, an awesome message that you want to repurpose. You can repurpose that into a blog, into a podcast, into a book, into a number of things that we'll talk about that, and think about it. God gave you a vision to speak something to your church, but how many more people can be benefited by that message as you share it to more people? So we're going to talk about that, not letting your old content die, but repackaging it so more people can benefit from it. And then gain a new and even bigger audience. So I think I talked about this a little bit, but if you currently have a church, gain a bigger audience from people that can hear what you have to say. And I think that you will find the ability to do that in this content, and I hope that you can apply it. I'm really excited to hear testimony. So as you go through this 5-day program, let me know. Towards the end of it, I'll give you an opportunity to give me feedback on what you learned from it. So what you need to do, take this seriously. This is free content that I'm giving you. I'm taking my time to be able to provide this for you. I really went through many drafts on how to put this together, and I'm hoping the final product is good, and there might be revisions on this in the future, but I want you to take this seriously because I'm taking this seriously. I've taken trainings before where it's just like click, 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 okay, I'm done. And I didn't apply it. I didn't do anything with it. So, and that's really why I want to space this across 5 days, is because I don't want you just to take this over a couple hours and be like, all right, I'm done, and not do anything with it. I really want you to take this a day at a time, journal, ask God what he wants for you in your ministry, which is something I can't do for you. I can't tell you that, hey, God is telling you to do this in your ministry. I have to give you the tools and let you apply them as God leads you. So yeah, don't just watch these videos, take action. There's always going to be links at the end of the videos on things you can click on to sign up for, to apply, to purchase. And so figure that out as well. Journal, take notes on how you can apply the concepts to what you're doing. I've been in programs too where they give you this huge journal, and I start to write stuff and then I just kind of trail off. But what I've seen in other programs too is they give you many pages to just kind of restate the same thing. And so that's why I'm not making this a 30-day program. I'm not giving you a ton of useless information. There's a lot of padding to a lot of programs. Really, I've been through a lot of programs and training, and it's like, come on, when are we going to get to the meat of this? When are we going to get to what I really want to know? And that's something I want to try to avoid by doing this, is just to give you 5 days, very clear, concise information on what you can do to apply this to your ministry or to start a new ministry. So that's why I take notes on this and apply this, because I'm going to go somewhat fast compared to what I'm, and once again, I'm comparing to other programs. But literally, there's one program, the first week was just like, okay, renaming your vision, your mission, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Who's your ideal customer? I'm just like, I don't want to go through this. And so I feel that pain, and I hope that this is a good training for you that kind of gets to the meat of it without boring you in the process. So at the end of each day, share in the Facebook group at the end of each day. Realize that I will funnel you to the right channels, but you need to do the work and learn. So this is, like I said, not something where, okay, I went through ministry funnels, now I have a thriving ministry. No, this is something to get you to the right spot, to funnel you to the right place. And then from there, you have to do the work. You have to learn. All right, there's going to be a lot that you still have to learn after this is over, but at least if you go to the right training, to the right mentor, to the right partnership, you can learn through the process. And that's what I hope I can help you do. And then once again, send me testimonials. Let me know what you think. I might use them in promotion for this as I promote this to more and more people. So We have a private Facebook group through Ministry Funnels. You'll see links on that at the end of the day. And I will ask you at the end of every day to go to a post specifically for that day and share your thoughts on what you thought of the day, how you will apply it to your ministry, or just say completed, right? If you just want to comment that, hey, finished it, thanks, whatever you want to comment, go for it. And this is, like I said, a great way to make connections and share your content. If you're currently in ministry, right? I don't mind if you promote or just give a background in day one of who you are, share what you do, and then it's not going to be like shameless plugs every day, but it's also going to be like, hey, where are you coming from? Are you currently in ministry? Do you want to grow? Are you looking to start? And here's the thing, many of you will know more than I do on these topics, right? I'm not an expert on every single topic. I'm kind of just broad brushing through some of these topics. But at the same time, I've done my research, right? I'm trying to bring you some of the best options, for example, to start a website. There's probably hundreds of options on how to start a website, right? I'm trying to bring you the best option and things that I've used. Okay, so these are almost everything in here is something that I've looked into or that I've used personally, and that's why I want to share it with you. Does it mean it's the best option out there? Probably not. There are going to be better options out there, and that's where I hope the Facebook group comes in handy too, where you can share your knowledge on the concepts that I bring up and provide more light on these things. But this is what I know, and this is what I'm sharing with you. The training is not all-encompassing, as we constantly need to grow. Okay, we always have to grow. I'm still growing as I learn things. I just upgraded my podcasting equipment, and so I have a better camera, better lights, things like that now, which I was sorely under prepared for when I started a podcast. But this is where we grow over time, right? Hopefully, as you're in ministry, you're learning, you're growing, you're improving. The more that you use things, the more that you're comfortable with things. And a lot of times there's a lot of diminishing returns where, I don't know if that's how you call it, but for example, when I first started being on social media, it took me a long time to figure out what in the world I was doing. I spent a long time on social media, just figuring out how to post, how to tag, how to do all these things, how to use Instagram. Instagram was very confusing to me when I first started. And now I can jump on Instagram for 5 minutes or less, post something, and get off. And so that's one of the things where over time you're going to learn and grow and have more knowledge as we grow through our ministry. In the Facebook group too, I can continue to provide new content to you, right? I can go on live in the Facebook group and do a more detailed training on Instagram or whatever it is. And so this is just kind of the foundation in the 5 days, but I can continue to provide you content in the Facebook group. And support and encouragement, okay, please, in the Facebook group, be supportive of one another. I even have in the Facebook group a description that it is not a place for doctrine and theology to come up and well, I'm right and you're wrong. Okay, I want it to be a positive place for us to bring each other up in the Lord and to help grow our ministries together, right? This is not something where it's not the Facebook group for it, okay? There's a time and a place for everything, and this specific Facebook group is not to tear down, it's to build up. Okay, so please keep that in mind. Help support other people. If they put themselves out there and share something, encourage them. We all need it. I need it, okay? So how to start? So what do you do first? Well, you're watching this video, which is awesome, but understand where you will want to go. Okay, so understand what you want to do, where you want to go, and what you want to get out of this. So, sorry, we had a camera issue here. So we're just going to finish up in audio form, one of the joys of technology. So understand what God has given you to do and take action on it. Understand the vision that God has placed on your heart. And pray, please pray about this. Starting a ministry is not something you can just do as a great business idea. Pray about this, right? Follow God's leading, and then use the direction. A lot of times with discernment, and I teach about discernment, following God's direction, but a lot of times people point you along a path or point you to a door that we have to walk through, often not knowing what's in the next door or what's in the, it looks dark ahead of us, but we still have to take faith and take that step towards where God is leading us. And so pray about this. Understand what is the vision, the message God is calling you to give. Okay, for me it was discernment. Okay, that's the core of my ministry. It's not the only thing I talked about, but it was the overarching message is about discernment and making decisions that honor God. There's plenty of people I know that have groups, ministries for dads, for moms, for missions, for discipleship, or just general messages about getting closer to God. Okay, there's a lot of ministries out there that are, my name is Tim Ferrara, so it might be the Tim Ferrara Ministries, right? So I would encourage you to figure out what you want to call your ministry, right? If you're not a big name, then I would not use your name. I would do something like I did, like Discerning Dad, where people understand that, okay, this is a dad, or this is for dads, and this is about discernment. So figure out what your ministry is going to be called. Is it going to be over a specific theme, or is it going to be more general? Either one is fine. And write down your goals like I did when I started. Write down your short-term, long-term goals and your stretch goals, and figure out where God wants you to go. All right, so there's some basic things that you need to start, and that's how I'll leave you today is you need a logo. So figure out what logo you want if you don't already have one, and get one created. Okay, I did not create my own logos. Okay, I go to Fiverr. Fiverr is awesome. Believe me, it's super cheap. Just to put it in perspective, when I wanted to create a logo for Discerning Dad, I asked around, and some of the better designers would talk about $200, $300, $400 for a logo, and I went to Fiverr and I got it for I think $20, and it was perfectly suitable for me to start out. So Fiverr is awesome. I use them for different things, t-shirt designs, logos. You can use them for a number of different things. I even used it for like my podcast intro and outro. So anyway, check that out. There's a link. Sign up at least for an account. The link gets you 20% off your first purchase. And you need to start thinking about a website. So I use WordPress for my website. I used GoDaddy to start. If you're going to do more blogging, WordPress is great. There's also some better options out there as well. Linktree is great because you get all of your links in one site. So if you, I see this a lot in social media. So Linktree is great because you can literally just go to my Linktree, click on different things on how to get to my different social medias, or the maybe my book or my podcast, and get it all in one easy clickable spot. People don't like going to a website anymore and kind of just spending time searching because attentions are very short, and so people want to get to the thing and get where they need to go quickly. Create a mission statement and a mission verse for your ministry. What do you want to accomplish? This is very business type of goal here, but I would still encourage you to understand what you want to accomplish with your mission. Have a mission verse. What verse is God giving you to kind of be the foundational verse for your ministry? Mine is Romans 12:2. Don't be conformed to the world, but be renewed. But be transformed by the renewing of your minds, and then you'll be able to discern God's perfect and holy will for you. So that's my mission verse. I would encourage you to have the same thing. Create a Facebook page for your ministry if you don't already have one. We'll talk more about pages and groups on Facebook and which one you should have, but Facebook pages are free, and they are kind of the best way for people to reach you, whether or not you have a website or not. And then create a ministry email. Okay, so Outlook is what I use. It's not the only one, obviously, but it is something that you should have a way for people to contact you that is apart from your normal personal email. All right, and I would encourage you to check out Covenant Eyes. Why do I include this in here? Well, if you're going to be on the internet, if you're going to be on social media, you should protect yourself and your family. Okay, so this is a great option to help prevent that kind of stuff. If you don't already have a software that protects you, whether or not this is a struggle for you personally, just understand that it is something that you should be aware of for your family, for your kids. And so you should have something in place to protect you as you go through having an online ministry. So as you have an increased online presence, you have increased temptations, all right? And so you have accountability. You can have an accountability partner signed up with Covenant Eyes who gets to see, you know, what you've been looking at and be able to check in with you on a regular basis. So check out the link below. There's a 14-day free trial with my link to at least try it out and see if it's something for you. So day one action item, sign up to Fiverr. Whether or not you use it right away, just sign up and create an account. If you don't know about it yet, it's awesome. Look at website options. I have an option in there too for WordPress to create your own WordPress website, which you can also create a free version, which doesn't have a lot of options, but it's still an option for you. Create a mission statement, mission verse. If you want to, share that in the Facebook website or the Facebook group at the link below too. Write out your goals, short and long term. Start a Facebook page, and then go to the Facebook group and give an introduction of yourself, what your ministry is, share a little bit about what you've created in day one.